Oh, hello everyone. I guess we are already live. Nice to see you all. Hopefully, you're already with us. On Created a bit of ad hoc series about AI and the biggest mistakes you can do while designing and implementing AI strategy. As you can see around me, there are many antiques, old pictures. I am at my parents' house right now, as you can clearly see, pretty much traditional. My name is Radek Zaleski. I'm a senior partner at NetGuru, which means senior, which means I'm old. It also means I have no clue what AI is. Fortunately, with me is Christian, who is leading our AI efforts at NetGuru. Hi, Christian.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Radek. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks, Christian. So we had this chat internally that we started this AI journey. I think like 4 years ago or 5 years ago with different R&Ds. We invented our solutions internally. We never had a clear AI strategy as a company back in the day. Now, then, this huge shift happened when OpenAI introduced ChatGPT, and everyone, it became a craze, became something much more publicly seen. And now every company is thinking, okay, what is our AI strategy? What should we do? And you've written down, or we discussed those 10 points that companies are making the mistakes around this topic. And we have around 60 minutes today. I'm not so sure if we're going to go through all of the 10 topics, but maybe you can go through them quickly initially, and let's see how it goes.
Right. So these are kind of like, since we have those many discussions with like multiple companies, a lot of like various different industries. So these are kind of our top 10 points that we've noticed across those companies. So the first one is thinking that AI is only a short-term innovation. This is number one. The number two is starting with big transformative projects. The third one is the consequence, which is not having an iterative process. The fourth one is very often one, designing without the user in mind. The fifth one is thinking on through industry perspective, and this is probably for overall innovation, where the sixth one is thinking from the resource limitation perspective, where the seventh one is the return on investment, the ROI of an AI project, and saying that, hey, AI projects are probably expensive, right? This is innovation. The eighth one is that, hey, why should I do it? Because ChatGPT is everywhere, even on my cornflakes. Like I can literally buy the ice cream with a graphic generated by artificial intelligence. What's the idea, to implement it from the scratches right now, right? The ninth one is pushing to production too fast, or maybe like, keeping this pace even like too fast. And where the 10th one is having the data contaminated, not prepared properly. So from our perspective, these are kind of more like strategic pitfalls or mistakes when implementing the AI project.
Thank you for going through all of those 10. I hope we will share them later with more detail. Which one is the most costly mistake, Christian? With which one would you start?
Oh, for sure. Like thinking from the first one, probably the first one is, I would say, the one of the most important here. Although those 10s are not like, in let's say priority order. I found them, some of them are more like significant for some companies. For sure, like the first one with thinking that AI is only short-term in innovation. And I know, Radek, that
What do you mean by that? Because I'm part of our core team at NetGuru, and we said we want AI and we want results in 30 days. So are we doing
yeah
this wrong, or?
yeah for sure. When working with stakeholder, and even like in AI, it's very important to show some results like as soon as possible, like show the quick wins, right? The quick wins are very important.
I
But
like quick wins.
yeah, the quick wins are super important. But the thing with the innovation and like the entire framework is that you shouldn't consider it only as something like that you will implement super quick and it will create already some, very big side business, right? This is also in designing the long term, let's say, relationship with the technology. So in my opinion, like only thinking that, hey, let's implement something super quick and for sure it will give us something, right? The challenge with AI is that many companies are implementing that right now. So this is like very, very important to not only like build like super reactive short-term strategy, but design the solution that will be a part of your strategy. So where there is a like in case of NetGuru, the way how we did it, right? We didn't change the entire strategy for next 6 months only to adjust to AI. This is rather, okay, let's try to build like almost like a side business, right? Built around it, and let's think how to adjust the AI into our existing strategy and not rebuilding the strategy from the scratches, right? And the
So
thing is that, okay, although AI might be some short-term project or side project, but at the end of the day, this is like with the innovation, you should build it iteratively, right? So this was all about the first one.
two questions here. First one maybe will be kind of a contradictory to what you say, um, but what if the impact of the AI solutions and the speed of iteration of the tools that are present on the market makes your strategy irrelevant, right? So how can I adapt long term if, for example, some of the AI things just maybe not destroyed my business, but clearly impacted this? I will give you one example. So let's say I run a gaming company. I have
Mm-hmm.
visual artists called concept artists who are
Mm-hmm.
responsible of creating those visual concepts of how the game might look like in terms of art style, visual fidelity, creation. And now I have Mid Journey and Sora right now, and it's like, okay, so what's my strategy around my concept art? Do I even have a strategy, or like should I kill it? So
Yeah.
that's my first contradictory question. How would you tackle such issues?
Yeah, so this is like OpenAI is killing like 1,000, startups every new update, right? And new software ideas. So definitely, the thing is that you shouldn't panic in the first place, but sometimes when you see that, and this is like what we're doing at NetGuru, when you see that, or you feel literally under your skin that, hey, like my business might be affected by this AI or might be disrupted very significantly, as you said, then yeah, I should act like even today. And what we're doing usually, what you should do is basically in this case look on that a little bit, definitely long term, but analyze what are the real risks. And this is like the strategic job, right, to be done on the C level, on the top management level, like, hey, what are the top risks, and to name those risks, right? So naming those risks is literally the already the risk management process. So to name it, because truth to be told, is that yes, AI may be very disruptive to many industries, to many businesses, but at the same point, with this very example you gave, is that it will also build some additional opportunities. So sometimes maybe you will need to rebuild the business as soon as possible, or at least start to design for it, right? Or start to prepare for it. But on the other hand, maybe this is also a good time for your platform to to look for opportunities around it.
So let me find another example which might be aligned more with what you were talking, and let's discuss if it really is. So I've read about Klarna. I think they published the story today or yesterday, that they were able to use AI in terms of customer service, initial contact with customers or potential customers, if I got this right. And it allowed them to speed up the process and, of course, lower the cost, right? And so going back to your initial pitch, is thinking AI it's only short-term innovation. I assume that for a company like Klarna, which is a B2C company and relies heavily on closing tickets that arise from their customers on a super high volume, using AI, it's not a short-term innovation, but it's rather strategic bet on how we can be a better company to serve our customers more efficient, fast, right? And right now the AI can be the solution, but maybe further on, probably other solution. And it will change, but the strategic goal of serving the customers and solving tickets fast is not changed, right? So this is the right approach, considering what you were saying, correct?
Yeah. And this is like with every new technology, in fact, when like, personal computer came, like then the internet connection, .coms. So this is what probably Marty Kagan, the product management guy, said, that he observed that in his like 50 years of experience in the Valley, that people and companies usually very overestimate some innovation in a short term and underestimate it in a very long term. So at this moment, we are not even able, to predict where we will be and how it will actually impact our business, right? So this is like e-commerce, like speaking about the e-commerce in 80s, right? So overestimating in the short term, underestimating in the long term, which basically lead us to the second thing that like was our point here, is like thinking, okay, but if we should think in the long term as well, how we can approach the quick wins, right? So, and this is like even for us as a software consultancy in general, any type of software design process, is that we tend to have, and there is the another book of course, the Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow, that we are kind of over engineering and overthinking our initiatives. And for us human beings, it's easier to think about like very big initiatives, very big projects. This is how our brain works, right? It's easier for us to formulate like very big, transformative ideas. And the thing with AI is, and this is even like more important in machine learning and AI rather than any other piece of software, is that you need to very aggressively prototype, and you need to find those quick wins. So the way how we do it, the way how I like usually advise to do it, is to like, hey, identify your real quick wins. You mentioned, for example, about the customer experience, something that they've noticed that, hey, this is this point where it will bring the best benefits from my business. It will bring the value from my customers, right? This is what Bezos said. Never invest for something that will not bring a value to your customer, right? So like understanding like, hey, what's the biggest value for me like today, not in like 8 months or 10 months, but let's start from today. What will bring? Maybe it will be some consumer facing solution. Maybe it will be some internal streamlined process, right? But let's do it, and let's think about super small steps, super prototyping hacker approach, and let's try at least to implement something, to play with it, because there is this stagnation.
That would be your advice, right? To people who are in charge or responsible or thinking around, is to start with such as small steps to have fun, to understand how it can help their customers or their market, correct?
Yeah. And I believe that the other thing here that is really important also from, I guess, your perspective, where you are like, from the growth perspective building or business development building, is that there is this missed learning opportunities, right? That may happen if you will not go even with the smaller step. You can learn the market, you can adapt to it, at least like 1% improvement here, right? And then it will also build some opportunities for you. So yeah, that would be my point number 2, is that instead of thinking about like super big transformative, changing the business process, let's start with some smaller steps in the first
Mhm.
place.
So can we find some, maybe if you have such an ideas in your mind, what might be such a uh, quick wins for different industries or types of companies that you already spotted while talking with the market, or what trends are you seeing that you think are going into the right direction?
Yeah, so like this is very this actually point might be the reason why OpenAI, although I don't want to talk about OpenAI a lot today, but it might be the reason why they've kind of were faster than Google, because Google was in this very specific situation right now where all those in 90s they had very hacker type approach. So they wanted to release the software that was just good, right? It should be just released as soon as possible, and it was okay-ish to be released, right? Where they've right now are like much bigger, so each software needs to be like super, properly tested and everything. Where OpenAI kind of released the GPT-2 version, GPT-3, and people were really like, I'm not saying hated it, but they were not really like fully satisfied with the experience with the software, right? It was just a little bit better than trash in the first place, right? But they've been able to learn, they've been able to release it, right? And this is
Mm-hmm.
what also we see with our customers. So what you asked, what you said. So for instance, we worked with one of the leading real estate platform, and they really wanted to use Gen AI for hyper personalization in their real estate business. So they've choose also to go with the iterative process, which is actually my point number 3, not having the iterative process. So they wanted to go step by step. And it means that, okay, maybe they will not release this software in the main landing page from the day one. They will kind of hide it. They will release it for some close, group of users. They will market that like, hey, this is the beta feature still, this is still in the development, but you're kind of changing this mindset. You are, uh, like having those control phase with your customers and at least playing with the innovation already, which gives you like a huge advantage over your competition.
So, Christian, again, I don't want to be too much of a congratulator, but I am also an idiot. So I read the news that the Air Canada implemented, some AI solution in their customer communication platform, and this chatbot gave passenger a bad advice, and right now they
Yeah,
are being kind of sued, right?
yeah,
So, if I am an executive and let's say adult company, not a startup, like airlines, it's all funny what you're saying, but then I'm going to get sued. So please
yeah.
tell me, Christian, how should I manage this, or how should I, or what wrong happened in Air Canada? How would you tackle this differently?
Yeah, so it is actually my point number 9, what you are referring to, and this is
Mm,
at
I'm skipping steps. Sorry,
yeah,
Christian.
yeah, no
Let's
problem,
go.
no problem. So yeah, definitely. So this is the other, I would say, part of the coin where it's pushing to production too fast. So where machine learning is with us from, I don't know, 20, 30 years in production, probably, they're specifically what you're referring to, which is generative AI and those LLMs driven chatbots that are massively adopted right now. Some of those technologies are still in the experimentation phase, and it should remain in the experiment phase. So it means that for some specific use cases, you may need to test it better with the customers, right? So it's still like the hallucination risk might be quite high in some very specific technologies or use cases. So it means that sometimes like pushing to production too fast is not also good. And this is why I've mentioned this iterative process, like it's beta, right? So what you should do in their very specific case, I would say that you need to like at least identify the threats better, rebuild your quality assurance process specifically for AI. So in terms of software development, one of the biggest kind of consequences of adopting AI technology so massively is that we need to rethink the way how we are testing the software, how we are providing the quality in our projects. So in other words, from for the software, agencies like ourselves, this is like totally kind of redesigning, rethinking the quality assurance competences and resources to make sure that it will be able to deal with new type of the software which will be Gen AI driven, right?
Going back to this Air Canada thing, right? I'm reading it right now on the BBC, and it's a case from 2022. So it's
Mhm.
not something that is that new, right? It's something that happened in the past. Right now, there was running. My hunch is my key takeaway is that there's a difference between what I would say established brands can do and risk with all of those things versus fresh brands or brands that have this startup flavor and they might be more no, not that susceptible for customers being angry at them, right? And
Yeah.
also the brands that are of more traditional or that build the notion of a security, stability, which is clearly an airline, might have a different or should have a different strategy around those topics than, let's say, food delivery
Yeah.
platform
Yeah.
or B2B startups, right?
Yeah, definitely. And there is also the case from the technical perspective where I can tell you is in this specific case, it means that like around conversational agents and chatbots on the production line, it is not, it's all also good to kind of design what really you need. So it means that you don't need sometimes to implement like super powerful large language model driven chatbot if you need a smaller, simpler, frequently asked questions agent, right? So it means for us that it doesn't mean that every AI implementation needs to be super powerful LLM driven and powered by those very big generalist engine, because it's like taking some risk for the implementation. This is what Air Canada paid for, right? Or will pay for. So in our case, it means that, hey, sometimes you need to also like um, you know uh, think about the stakeholders and the real user, like keeping the user in mind. Is it really like necessary to build the agent for the user that will be so powerful, because it will add additional layers of complexity for our projects, and maybe something smaller will be more suitable for this specific business need, right? Where we are still, although from my perspective, even if we have those LLM driven chatbots, we are still kind of very happy to implement smaller chatbots that are not so like super powerful, but are doing the job more like specifically than the biggest models, right? And
Let
it's
me
just better for the customer.
let me try to paraphrase a bit here and the recap conversation and discuss the next point. So let me know if I've got something wrong here. So the first mistake is thinking that AI is only short-term innovation, right? So I assume it's like reading some kind of a cool Twitter thread or a LinkedIn post and saying, "Oh, I need this. They are doing this. I need this," without thinking about why do I need this or how does it fit the long-term
Right.
strategy. That's the
Right.
mistake number one, right?
Without thinking about your overall strategy that you already
Right.
have, that's giving you money every day, right?
On the other hand, is overthinking this, right? So oh my god, AI is here, we are changing the whole company right now, there is a huge team of people dedicated to this, there is a huge budget,
Yeah,
waterfall management, versus thinking like, okay, how we can improve 3% of our customer service inquiries. So this
totally.
right, so that's point number two. The point number three is kind of maybe something that we discussed with Air Canada, not an iterative process, right? So instead of launching a new AI and augmented chatbot for a small region, going full in, or maybe going too broad with
Yeah,
with a category. For example, instead of solving small issues with people unable to find content on your website, and other rereading the content on FAQ page and giving advice to end user, which again happened with Air Canada, right? So that might be this. And then the fourth we did not, I think, discuss, do I got this
yeah,
right, is like designing without the user in mind, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
what you mean by that?
So like we've in last like in Q4 we had around like 20 something commercial AI workshops, and this is almost in everyone, in every each of those workshops, is that at the end of the day every technology and any innovation needs to solve some very specific human problem, right? It needs to be designed for humans right now, for people. It needs to solve some problems. And like in every innovation, and I saw it also in past decade with IoT, smart devices, AI will be probably the same, is that this is not only, it shouldn't be only feature for feature, innovation for innovation. And in the software agency, we see very massively this kind of phenomena. We call it feature factories, right? So it's like building software for building software. And at the end of the day, when you are designing the solution, and it will be the AI driven solution, let's say, it needs to solve some specific problem, streamlining the process, like better customer experience, more personalized, engaging communication to your user, or helping them someone to somehow maybe to understand the documents that are too difficult for those people, or like helping them to learn, I don't know, biology or chemistry, right? Solving the problems. So it also like, and this is where I know that design thinking is not having very good press recently, but still, like, this is the same, right? You need to
Now that's now
design.
now that's a hot topic. Why doesn't have a good press, Christian?
Well, so
First,
this is the other one. But basically, since we have this Gen AI, then like some like companies are saying that, hey, this is the end of double diamond approach, where we shouldn't like be so much research driven because we have this AI technology and we don't know where well it will like lead us. And this is the same like it was in Agile, with Agile in 2013, right? But at the end of the day, this is true. Like, we are delivering technology to solve some very specific problems, and very often uh, for the people that will to pay for solving those problems, right? And this is what you need to incorporate in your process. Meaning, okay, design something, but make sure you will keep the user in mind where designing this solution. What kind of problems will it solve? This is
have
where
you,
you are the specialist, Radek, right? Where
I know we I to the audience, I hate building features. I try to always solve a problem without building features first. Can you name some kind of example where you don't have to name a companies, but you can name a problem, and maybe the industry where you saw this, jumping into the solutions with AI, but yet without any visible customer need, um, that is happening. I will give an example from the industry that is close to
Mhm.
me, to show you what I'm thinking around this. You remember this whole hype about blockchain, crypto, Web
Yeah.
three, whatnot, and there was a lot of money, and the companies, especially gaming companies or VC-backed gaming companies, they try to implement this very cool and needed feature into the games, right? there were a lot of startups, a lot of technologies, a lot of money, but the gamers were like, what? Like we what? Just give us better games. Like we don't need this. What is this, right? So that's my example of like going hardcore that
Yeah.
way, right? There's this cool technology, cool buzzword. Let's implement it without thinking or discussing anything with user end user. So any such examples on your mind right now with AI?
Yeah, well, one of the example might be IKEA, for instance. So I've been figuring out why IKEA on their webpage are not like showing chatbots recently, like a lot, like right. So because it seems that they've went through some iterative process in the past, and it didn't like, although they've released it, it didn't give them like significant customer experience improvement, or maybe technology was not there back then, right? So they've literally decided to let it go. Maybe right now they will reiterate since the technology is much more mature, right? But this is one example that like come to my mind. At the end of the day, like it's also incorporating users in the feedback. They need to test it. They need to like verify it, and this is not different from other piece of software that we are like developing at the daily basis, right?
Another
So
another examples with AI that comes to your mind, or right now it's too early to see
I
such
would say
trends?
that it still might be too early. We haven't like noticed a lot of, let's say, problems, because still the technology is very kind of new. So a lot of companies are experimenting, but I guess that we will see such examples in the future,
I,
like
I
very
I have
soon.
some examples that I feel might be happening, and there is
Okay.
especially from top down, there is thinking around this topic is basically content creation in media or entertainment businesses. I yet to have to see an end user, like a consumer, who says, "Yeah, give me more AI created entertainment." I yet have to see it, but I already seen like AI generated podcast, which I think the goal of this is to show that how technology can be used, which is a
Hmm.
proof of concept, which is cool. But I can imagine there are some executives or some companies thinking like, oh, let's create AI newspaper, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking, yeah, possible, cool, but is that something that people really like ask for?
So
And
yeah, so this is like with content generation, if I may like add something. This is what's happening on Amazon with books, right? That like there are like, I believe, more than 1,000 book right now where ChatGPT is a co-author. So at the end of the day, this is like questioning whether someone is there anyone that will actually want to read this, right? So this is like very similar.
yeah, that's another example. There, I don't. This example, I don't yet see the push from the companies. I rather see it as hacking the algorithms and hacking the marketplaces with individual actors, which I think are pushing the boundaries. Uh, but, but yeah, this is a good example. The another idea I've heard coming back and forth is that. Um, if you're a media company, and by media company not only text content, but also it might be a visual content or
Hmm.
similar, it's like let's give users ability to create their own shows, like type in I like to have a show with Christian fighting with dragons in a
Yeah,
sci-fi genre. All this will be so cool, but I yet have to see an end user who dreams about creating his own movies. But
yeah.
maybe I'm not understanding this, or maybe I'm too naive. But those two come to my mind.
Yeah, so for sure. So this is the other thing, since the AI is really very often a buzzword, unfortunately. So we will probably most likely see it everywhere, and this is actually point number 8. I believe I had that, and I'm like also curious about your opinion here, since you're like talking with a lot of companies. But these things like is like, what's the reason to implement it? Because this is like buzzword. It's like everywhere. I literally saw this next, like, mobile phone, ad with some super cool AI features, but what does it mean? Like, so I get those questions also, like, a lot, like, what's the reason to implement it? Because this is maybe only a buzzword that doesn't really make sense to bother, or this is only for IT company, right? So I'm like doing something else. I'm in the building construction business, or in, I don't know, anything else. So what's the reason, right, to implement the AI? So I was
Uh,
wondering if this is also something that you've been asked, maybe somehow,
uh,
like.
I, I've I've seen both. I think those are both valid questions, and from the business perspective, I can understand both of those perspectives. So, perspective number one is already we've discussed this. Uh, let's implement AI because everyone is implementing AI, and we need
Yeah.
AI because if we don't have AI, media AI, we will look old. We need AI. We need AI strategy, right? And that's one approach which makes many of those mistakes that you have on your list. But on the other hand, I can understand why some management boards or key decision makers are pressed to show something, right?
Mm-hmm.
um, so this I can get. But on the other hand, what I see often, that's a good question, if it's too often, is like, yeah, AI, of course, it's like second crypto coming. It's not
Yeah.
sustainable. It's a second, yet another buzzword, which it will all fade out. We don't have to think around this, right? Why I need this now? I've if the people are saying this from the end user perspective, by using the arguments like, I've never seen our user uh, say they need AI, or I never seen a user that is unhappy with how we currently do things. This might be, a good pushback. But on the other hand, how I see AI, it is so much different than the whole previous buzzwords, and
Yeah.
it's so much more powerful. And I see already so many good implementations solving crucial problems that I think it's a pretty much a mistake to not to think about this, right? If I
Yeah.
would be a decision maker, which kind of I am inside our company, but if I would be advising to someone, I would I would I would rather say, don't neglect this.
Yeah.
Uh, Try to design as many as possible, stories that you can imagine around either your end user journey and needs, or your
Mm-hmm.
internal operations, internal processes, and you know, tr- tr- shoot the shot. Like, just ask yourself, if we had AI, how would it be differently? Or
Yeah.
if we could automate it to the max, how would it, help us? And I think this is the good approach. We even designed this whole AI primer thing together, right? Which basically is around this topic, like, shoot us your biggest challenges inside your current company, or biggest problems, or feedbacks from your customers, and let's see if AI is applicable, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think it's a good approach before committing to anything more. But I, again, to repeat myself, I wouldn't neglect it. If
Yeah.
you're not doing this already, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. Again, this is different with other buzzwords that were before of it.
Yeah. So someone else will do it, right? I guess that, yeah, and it, like, when you mentioned AI primer, so one of the biggest insights I had after those workshops we were leading, where we are kind of identifying the opportunities, is that we cannot overgeneralize on AI. So it isn't that AI is one fits all solution, right? That it basically needs to be designed properly, but the thing is that when we will deep dive in the customer needs or our company needs, and we will really prioritize what can bring a value there, very often it may happen that at the end of the day, it doesn't need to be AI. And this is also okay, right? So my point here would be that don't try to solve all world problems through AI, right? Implement where it needs to be implemented, but basically don't over generalize. Like, it will not fix all the problems, it will not solve all the solutions, but there are some very good applications where it can massively improve your, for example, internal operations, right? So yeah, you cannot, at least like, this is like with mobile application or with the internet, you cannot kind of um,
Neglected.
yeah, you cannot neglect it. Exactly.
Christian, we already passed the 40 minutes mark, and it's going
Yeah.
much better than I thought
Yeah.
because we are much faster. So AI is helping us. We are already on point number 5, if I counted correctly,
Yeah.
which is
So
thinking only through the industry perspective.
yeah, exactly. So this is, but it might be still very general and generic for the innovation. And this is what you've said about neglecting. So this is not okay. So don't think only about what's happening right now. Are there like my direct competitors are implementing it, because most likely the change will come outside of your current industry, and the innovation will come outside of your current industry, right? Let me give you an example. So this, when you're in the e-commerce business, hyper personal is very a big word. We are trying, to figure out how we can build more engaging, better, more personalized recommendations to our customers, right? But and like the question is, okay, but how I can, for example, utilize this when I'm the real estate company? I'm not selling, mobile phones or refrigerators online, right? I'm selling houses. So this is exactly the same thinking, that okay, although there is the e-commerce or quick commerce business that is already implementing hyper personalized AI driven content, you can also like use it. So try to think about this innovation kind of scanning what is also happening in other industries, right? Because at the end of the day, you will need to mix it somehow. The innovation needs to be mixed. So that would be my point here, which is like, you cannot be like in one channel, right? Only like looking what my direct competitors are doing. You should be more wider. And this is like for the entire consulting space, not only for the AI.
Uh, so some good examples of such a cross-industry, maybe not trends, but end user solutions that you are seeing that might be impacted by the AI?
So yeah, as I've mentioned, like those examples would be like hyper personalized content, right? This is like super
Okay.
powerful trend from my experience, like at least in the Gen AI field. Like it will be massive, and I can hardly visualize any industry that might not be impacted by it, right? For sure, conversational agents, where there are some companies from the automotive business, for
Mhm.
example, saying that implementing kind of artificial human uh, created or like resulted in better customer experience, right? So, and even like not having a human in direct interaction is improving the customer experience. It was a shock for me, for an instance, right? And so these are like for the brands where you have direct interaction between human and human, right? So even there, and
Mhm.
like the other thing, even like that, maybe at the end of the day, people will not willing to interact with the human beings in some very specific quick applications, right? Quick interactions. They will rather prefer to work with AI, for instance. And this is cross industry. This is like happening everywhere,
Yep.
because in every industry you had human to human
Well,
interaction.
so thank you for the examples. My take on it will be even more broad. When I was thinking around this whole, impact of the AI on the businesses, and not right now, but going further, my key observations mm, and maybe predictions are that this disruption again will be, as you said, cross industry, but not only because the ideas will come from the other industries, but also the three resources or the attention of end users will might come from the other industries. So some of uh, the simplest examples that we already know, and maybe some of the more complicated ones. So you've mentioned automotive. And if we're talking about the autonomous driving, which is kind of an AI,
Hmm.
uh, if this happens, which is not happening right now, but if this happens, there will be a huge free amount of time uh, to be obtained to do something with people who are right now driving cars.
Yeah.
They will have to do something with their time. I don't know what. There might be like looking at their phones, or maybe screens inside these cars, or maybe there will be chatting with AI voice assistants, right? Or who knows, right? But this the implementation of such systems inside the car and the ability to people to focus on something else might unlock a whole different set of things inside other industries, say entertainment, right?
Yeah.
Um, so that's a one thing, right? The other example is already we've talked about this Air Canada thing and about Klarna is so say it goes as advertised. We free up the resources that right now are focused on solving the customers' tickets problems manually.
Yeah.
Now, companies have a lot of cost savings, cool, but also there's an army of people trained inside of those companies. They can do different things, maybe better. So what they will do? Are we going to lay them off? Maybe, I don't know. Or maybe they will do something differently, focus on something that right now it is underserved, right?
Yeah.
Um, that can be only done by the humans. And I have no ideas what it might be, but you can, clearly you can think around, okay, if, how this free budget can be reinvested, right? And the third thing I'm thinking around um, is that this hyper personalization and the whole advertisement business in the e-commerce. So right now there's a lot of spending and a lot of time. It is spent on pitching you as a consumer what you should buy, either in form of advertisement or emails or
Yeah.
other multi-channel. Right? Again, if implemented as advertised with AI, it will mean that everyone will do kind of the same inside the industry, right? Everyone will have the same set of tactics, the
Yeah.
same set of approaches done by the AI. So there will be no competitive advantage.
Yeah.
So,
No
so
unique selling
no,
points. Yeah.
no, yeah, the advantage of being operationally excellent
Yeah.
in this upsells marketing communication will be not more relevant. So what will be relevant? I guess brand, I guess emotions, I guess things
Hmm.
that only humans can create, some kind of a unique aspects. Hard to tell, but this might be again the disruption coming, right? And those are not easy things to predict for sure. And I agree with you that the best approach to it is to try something iteratively and see how it sticks, and then maybe continue or not.
Yeah.
I think it is not possible to place a huge bets right now and to expect that they will be viable in 3 years.
Yeah.
If we look how much how fast is this going right now?
So maybe what you're saying for, for the enterprise business, it will mean that we had those when there was this big smartphones mobile application booms. There was this digital transformation, let's say, movement, right, or trend. So a lot of enterprises implemented those kind of acceleration, internal innovation acceleration unit that, like in big financial institutions or something, right? It brings a lot of values to them. So maybe it means what you're saying, I don't know, that they will need to implement something like AI innovation unit internally, or be more aggressive with the innovation, even because at the end of the day they're risking that all the companies will generate the same output, right?
Yeah, yeah, correct.
So
Yeah, that's yeah. Um, Christian, we have 10 minutes left.
Totally.
Are you happy to do yet another mistake, or would you,
So yeah,
or
the one that is mostly one
yeah?
that we wanted to briefly discuss is when our, I guess that this is what you're even hearing more often than me, is that I don't have a budget, or AI sounds very expensive. So like what's the best solution here? But it really like relates to what we said previously a lot with going step by step, right? That you don't need to rechange your entire company, your entire software, but with the agile software development and more aggressive prototyping, you can go step by step with, and even like it doesn't mean that it will incorporate like very massive, very big budget for those projects. I was wondering, is this is kind of argument if that yours also like hearing?
I don't hear, I would say, this argument regarding the cost issues, honestly
Hmm.
speaking, with AI. I'm rather hearing the challenges around that the whole thing right now. By the whole thing, I mean the industry is taken over by the leading conglomerates, which is basically the Google, the Microsoft, that they either they create their own solutions or partner with OpenAI, Microsoft with Mistral right now. And so how do I navigate around this? Is it even worth for me to try to create something on my own if they are going to eat everything I do, right? And I think
Yeah.
it's a valid question. And then there is this question, okay, so what I need to train my own model. Oh my god, this is so complicated and so expensive. This is not what I can afford right now. And I think it's a wrong approach. How I always try to advise is that those models are basically engines that you can either use from preferred vendors, huge corporations, or you can use open source, or maybe in the future we will have a small engine providers. The key is the business aspect of it. How do you implement this engine inside of your business, and how do you build modes inside of your business using this engine, right? And then it is the cost issue is not that huge in
Hmm.
my view, because then you mitigate this problem of the need of having everything internally. Of course, the bigger the company, the more the risk averse will be, and they will be asking, okay, can we host it? Is it ours? Who owns it? Those standard questions. But those are not the cost issues. I think those are the different types of issues, right? The different types of blockers.
Yeah, totally, that makes sense. I'm not sure if we have any questions on our chat.
Right. So we have like 5 minutes left. So
Yeah.
let's let's ask viewers, do you have any questions? Would you like to know something? Let us know in the comments. And in the meantime, while we're waiting for the comments, let's not go through another mistakes, because we won't make it. Um, let's rather, Christian, if you could tell us what are the plans for the next episodes. What
Yeah,
are we planning
definitely.
to do?
Yeah, sure. Sorry for that. So we want to have those kind of discussions more frequently. So the next one is March 20th at 10 a.m. Central Eastern Time, the same as this very one, and we will discuss the AI design thinking process. So it will actually kind of address this right now the bad press of the design thinking process and maybe some other processes that are right there, and like companies and like big design consultancies asking themselves this question, okay, like will this affect the actual design process, because like what's the reason to be creative anymore, right? So I can generate anything and maybe I should change the another process. So I even saw some kind of the new tactics called like the string array process, for instance, instead of double diamond process. So we will answer those kind of
We
questions
should
when you are
we
designing the
should
solution.
we should invite Bartek Białek for this and give
Okay.
him.
Okay,
Um,
let's do that.
if he agrees. Okay, so the next one, and then what are the other
Then we
ones?
will
Planning?
discuss prototyping, since we believe the prototyping process is extremely important in the designing either machine learning or AI solution, how to get the best output out of it, like, how to schedule this process, what kind of resources are needed, and what are the most common tools that we found from our experience that are the most kind of valuable in that. The fourth one will be around also innovation and trends. So, how to incorporate the process where in the strategic thinking you will look a little bit outside of your, outside of your comfort zone. This is the fourth one. And how to adjust your company to this rapidly changing environment that doesn't really make sense if, it's like changing massively every month. The fifth one will be maybe also for Bartosz very good, around how to incorporate AI ethically into your user interface. So this will be for if there are
This
anyone.
is this is great topic. Yeah.
So if there is anyone interested around graphical user interface design, user experience in terms of UI, then there is a big challenge in front of us related with the AI kind of
I
driven
can I
software, right?
I can tell Christian you are not a marketer clearly, because if you were, this fifth would be how not to become Air Canada.
Yeah, this is exactly the same. But you can imagine that this is some challenge like we had design your websites into the mobile interfaces in
Yeah,
2012.
but in this topic also those ethical and legal issues, right? How to inform the end user that you are talking with AI or AI enhanced human, or maybe you're talking with human who's using AI into his
Yeah,
advantage. This is not that clear. Um, and I think it's exciting. So thank you for going through all the ideas. I guess we should also have another episode to finish those mistakes.
yeah,
Um,
we
and
could.
yeah, I see there are no comments from the audience. That is fine. Dear audience, if you have any mistakes you think that we missed or you disagree, let us know either in the comments or directly message us on LinkedIn or whenever you are watching us or following. Thank you for being with us. My kid is watching YouTube a lot, and every YouTuber says, please subscribe and follow and
Click that button.
click.
Yeah.
Click that. Yeah. So if you could do that, or if you don't do that, we will ask AI to do that for you, and hopefully we see each other on the next episode. Christian, thank you very much for talking with me. Exciting things. Anything to add at the end?
No, thank you very much, Radek, for hosting this episode. So yeah, and see you next time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. See you. Bye.